Alright, so we're going to start out with the face foundation. So I'm going to use a combination of this Doll Skin Genius Tinted Primer and the TCE Luminous by them. So I'm just going to mix. This is obviously, as the name suggests, a bit more luminous. And this tinted primer has more of a matte finish. Not to mention the shade is too light for me, so I like to use it as a mixer. So just taking a combination of that on the back of my hand, mixing it up, and then using a beauty blender to blend it out. This TCE Luminous foundation is a really good foundation, especially if you have dry skin. I like it, but just for short periods of time. I can never get a full day's wear out of it, so I never wear it during the work week because it is so luminous on my oily skin. Alright, so I think that looks like a pretty even coverage just for running errands. I did forget to mention that earlier today I used this Erborian CC cream as my SPF, and it also has a fair amount of coverage. It's like a tinted SPF, and this is in the shade Clair. And as you can see, I'm almost finished. I maybe have one use left, if that. But I do like that. It's not full coverage. I'd say it's maybe like a light medium coverage. But you can see just how dewy even mixing those two foundations is leaving my skin. But we're gonna proceed on with bronzer, and then after we finish the face products, I'll set it, which will hopefully tone down some of the shine and tackiness that my face is feeling. So for bronzer and blush, I'm going to use this Tarte Sea Breezy Cream and Bronzer palette, and I use the brush that's also from that same collection. Just tap in to the bronzer and then blend and hope it looks okay. I'm not the best with cream products. I always feel like I can never get as smooth or even of a blend as I do with powder. But I realized I had not reached for this palette in a really long time. And since cream products have a shorter shelf life, I need to start prioritizing this. All right, so I'm gonna stop right there with bronzer. Before I apply blush, I want to tackle the under eye darkness. And to do that, I'm gonna use this concealer by Jouer. It's their Essential High Coverage Concealer in the shade Creme. I feel like this is almost running out. I feel like this is maybe one of the newer concealers in my collection, but already when I pull the doe foot out, not a lot of product comes out, so I don't know if I'm running low or not. This is not one of my favorite concealers. On me, it creases pretty bad. or maybe not bad, but definitely more so than the Tarte Creaseless Concealer that I use. And the other concealer I applied, this shade is too light for me, so I like mixing it with some of my darker concealers. This is the Unny Full Cover Tip Concealer. It's a Korean brand, and the shade 1. Just using the same beauty blender to tap this in. All right, that looks decent. So now let's go back to blush. I'm just gonna use the edge of this same Tarte brush, and I'm gonna use this more peachy color in the bottom. This is Peach Paradise. That got a lot on there. Okay. All right, I have not been using highlighter much at all lately, so I'm gonna skip that for today. I might apply some at the very end, but we're gonna proceed with eyeshadow. And as you guys know, Natasha Denona came out with a new mini palette. It's the Mini Starlette, and it's comprised of existing shades found in a couple of her palettes. I do have the Star palette, and 3 shades from the Mini Starlette can also be found in the Big Star palette. And so I thought it'd be fun to pull those shades out and try to dupe the other 2 shades from Natasha Denona shades, even though I don't have those palettes. So one is from the Lila palette and the Nude Mauve shade. I can't remember where that one is from, which palette that's from, but this is what we ended up with. And so it's kind of a dupe palette, kind of not, because these 3 shades in the middle are the actual exact shades from the Star palette that can be found in the Mini Starlette. So I'll insert a picture with the shade names, but basically this is Shell here, which can be found in her 5-pan number 2 palette. And I thought this was kind of a rosy mauve shade. It's the closest Natasha Denona big shade that I have that goes with this color story and kind of matches what she has. And then next we have Galaxia. It's the Chroma Crystal formula, and it's just a sheer kind of topper shade. In the middle we have Atik, which is a matte peachy color. And then we have Rhea, which is a metallic copper rose gold. It's on me, it's very copper leaning. I've never reached for this shade much, but yesterday I did use this exact palette for my look, and I feel like if you use this all over the lid, Rhea, and then top it with Galaxia kind of tones down a lot of those orangey warm tones and makes it look a little more wearable on my skin color. And then this last shade in the Mini Starlette palette, it's a grayish purpley shade. And this is the closest I could come. This is a true gray, and it can be found in the Star palette as well. But it doesn't have that purpley, dusty mauve undertone that the Mini Starlette has. But overall, I feel like these colors complement each other really well. I wasn't sure how this gray would do with these other 4 shades, but yesterday it did perform well, and I didn't think the color undertones were clashing. So we're gonna go in and use this palette again today. And to start off, I'm going to take the middle shade, Atik, all over the crease. One thing I like about Natasha Denona palettes is that they are removable. So the larger pan sizes like these are removable. And so it really allows you to create your own little mini palettes, especially if you do have one of these 5-pan palettes. You can easily pop out these shades because there's holes in the back and the pans are magnetic, so you pop them out and you can create your own little custom little palette that's easy to travel, or just if you want to focus on certain shades throughout the work week. It basically makes her larger palettes more approachable and also allows you to get creative and have fun with it. So I've got a couple other videos on my channel, some when I first started the channel, where I was creating my own custom Natasha Denona palettes and just really picking color stories that I thought were unique and interesting. So if you like this type of video where we're trying to dupe the vibes of new releases or just get inspiration about color stories, I will link those down in the description box below so you can check those out after this. So I always like going in with a light hand with these more peachy tones. I tend to wear cooler taupey shades, and so these peach undertones are a little outside of my comfort zone. So when I am using colors like this that are new to me, I always like to go in with a light hand, and then that basically allows me to wear these colors in an approachable way. So now that I've got a wash of that peachy shade, I'm going to take a little bit of this shell color on the end, just a little bit, in the immediate crease. So really focusing that in the crease. I'm not really gonna bring this up much higher or as high as I did the shell or the Atik shade. So the day I'm filming this is Saturday, August 19th, and Natasha Denona's already announced another new palette. It's the Midi I Need a Nude palette, and it looks like a sister to the Glam palette that I love a lot. Honestly, it's the first palette I've seen all year that I'm truly excited about, and I was gonna purchase it on Sephora because Sephora, I haven't bought like any makeup at all this year. It's probably been the year I've purchased the least amount of makeup, just because I have a lot already. I'm happy with my collection, and there hasn't been any new releases that I've been excited about. But this palette I was really excited about, and a couple days ago, Sephora sent me a 15% off coupon. I guess they're always looking at your purchases or lack thereof, and since I hadn't made one in a really long time, they sent me a special coupon to try to reel me back in while this palette is dropping. And I think it's a perfect time to use the discount. So I was gonna buy it today because everybody's really excited about it, but Sephora had a Rouge exclusive yesterday, and it was supposed to open up to everybody today, and it still has not. It's 4 o'clock now, and it still hasn't released to everybody, so not sure what's going on there. But I will be purchasing that palette hopefully this weekend. Hopefully Sephora gets their act together, because I really don't want to have to pay full price for it at Ulta or some other retailer. Okay, so that's what the eye look's looking like so far. Now I'm going to take a little bit of this gray shade and just try to deepen up the outer corner without bringing it to a cool tone territory, if that makes sense. And also without trying to muddy up the look. Okay, so now for the all over lid shade, I'm going to take this Rhea shade, it's the coppery metallic, with my finger. So that's what that shade looks like. And I'm going to apply that all over the lid. It's a really foiled copper. Like straight up copper. So I know shades like this look really pretty with blue eyes, but for me, I feel like it leans too much on the orangey side, and I never feel my prettiest in these coppery shades. I wish I did. All right, taking a little more on the other eye. Okay, I'm gonna go back in with my blending brush and just try to like blend in that outer edge. When you're using your finger, I feel like that's really important because of how thick and opaque applying with your finger makes shades look. Okay, now to top it off, I'm going to use the Galaxia shade. So it's this shade here on my middle finger. So this shade just kind of tones down that orangey copper, but it doesn't cover it completely. I feel like it mixes really well with it. Basically just makes a lighter toned copper. Okay, so that's what the eyes look like so far. I'm pretty happy with that. To finish off the lower lash line, I'm gonna take a mix of Atik and Shell and run that underneath the lower lash line. All right, I'm gonna take just a tap of the Galaxia shade on my pinky and apply that to the inner corner. Okay. All right, I did not bring a eyeliner, so I'm gonna go apply eyeliner and mascara off camera and brows, and I'll be back for the finished look. All right, I'm back. So I applied a powder as my eyeliner. I used the Benefit Precisely My Brow for my brows. And then for lashes, I used this Ilia Fullest Volumizing Mascara. And then for lips, I used I think this is probably my favorite lipstick of all time, and definitely one of my favorite shades. So this is the Givenchy Sheer Velvet in the shade 10 Beige Nude. It is, as the name suggests, like a perfect neutral nude. I think I'm going to pick up another shade of this. It's not cheap, but I love the formula. And the two shades that I have shade 10 and shade 18. They're really, really pretty. So, all right, before we go, I want to thank everybody that subscribed. My birthday was back in May, and I actually hit 100 subscribers on my 30th birthday. So that was pretty exciting. I know it's a small channel, but I still can't believe anybody watches my videos. But if you're here and you're not subscribed, I hope you will consider doing so. And if you have any ideas for future videos you'd like to see, let me know. I will definitely do a video once I do purchase the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette. I'm curious to, number one, use that, but I was thinking I could do a video where I try to recreate some of the artist's looks that she has in the campaign. Just because I feel like I always do the same eye looks where it's the dark shade in the outer corner, transition shade, and shimmer on the lid. But I really want to start getting outside of my comfort zone and start creating some of these unique, edgy looks that are so pretty. But, you know, obviously that would be challenging for my skills, but it might be fun to watch. Hopefully it would turn out all right. But then the other video idea I had with that was I was thinking, based off some of the initial promo footage or photos of that palette, is that it might be similar to the ColourPop Deja Vu palette, which you guys know, probably the top palette of the year, definitely so far. We'll see if this new palette knocks it off, but definitely my most used palette of 2023. And some of the initial photos looked like it might be similar and have a lot of those same neutral undertone shades, but anyways, I could compare that if you're interested, compare it to the Glam palette as well. But yeah, if you have any more video ideas, certainly let me know. I'd be happy to film them when I have time. So if you've watched this far, thank you so much. I hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.